I just want to show you my preferred method for cleaning and cooking these wood ducks. They are fantastic, not an invasive, but you can apply this method and these recipes to any ducks or birds that you like to hunt. So out in the woods still right now, I like to do this part out here because it gets rather messy at home. But just remember, if you're transporting ducks, you need to leave one wing intact or the head on so they can identify the species. But with these guys, basically what I'm going to do is pluck the breast out. I'm probably going to breast this one out. I'll end up trimming the legs and everything off and using those with a different recipe. But if we're doing seared duck breasts, this is how I like to do it. So you just start by grabbing all these feathers, start plucking. Now, this is where it gets messy at home. I do recommend having a big trash can with a trash bag in it if you are going to do it at home. But I like to cook these things with the skin on. I think that I like that layer of fat that's included in it with that. It gives it some pretty good flavor. Got it pretty well plucked out. Once I do that, I'm just going to remove the wing. These things have some pretty sharp bones in there if you break them. But shears do work great. So basically, I just want to cut it at the joint. Make an incision there. It's easy if you lay it on something. You just find that joint. You can just break it. And then any of the remaining skin that's left, you can just cut through. Okay? All right, the last part I'm going to do out here in the woods today before we get back to the kitchen is I'm going to remove the innards. Okay, a couple things I like to keep inside here are the heart and the gizzard. They are great. But what I do is basically just grab it right here at the tail area. You can see its vent right there. And I just make an incision kind of around that area. Ducks do have a little gland back here. Just want to cut around it. You're going to feel a little bone in its tail. You can just break through that. And then you can slide the rest out the back. Now we're not going to show that online. All right, so duck's cleaned out. Here's the two things I like to keep. This is the gizzard. Great fried. It's not for everybody. If you don't like it, chop it up, feed it to your dog. And this is the heart. That's also excellent. Again, if it's not for you, I'm sure your dog would love it. Now, for the gizzards, when I clean these in the kitchen, usually wash them, but you got to be pretty careful. The way I like to do it is I basically just cut two sides because in the middle there is a bunch of grit, and that will really dull your knife blade. So when I'm cleaning these, I just take the two sides and cut those off, and that's what we'll be eating. Because you can see the inside, the very center of that, those are all little rocks and stones. That's where it grinds up all those acorns and seed that it's been eating. This thing has been cleaned out. It still has a bunch of little pin feathers and stuff on it. If you're cooking it whole, you definitely want to get rid of these. Again, I'm cooking these breasts skin on. So I want to get rid of that. All I got right here is a little jet boil. You can use a lighter, but basically you just want to run the duck over it real quick. You're not trying to cook any of that meat. You're just singeing those little feathers off there. Try and get all of them. I'm going to save the legs for a different recipe. All right, once they're all seared off, singed off, you kind of see that some of them are on here still a little black. You can just rinse this under the sink or take a sharp knife and just kind of scrape those away. All right, so got the duck home. All I'm doing is finding the center of this breastbone right here and cutting down along it, keeping that knife kind of on the bone, going around the wishbone up here. I'm gonna get as much of that breast meat off there as possible. Once I get to the drumsticks, I just kind of carve around that, and you'll come out with a whole duck breast. Now this is skin on. So when I'm cooking them skin on like that, I like to just score the skin and fat. That way when you sear it, it doesn't tighten up and pull that breast. So scored. On to the next side, same thing. For the rest of the duck, since I'm going to use the legs, raise them in a soup recipe with the feet on. I just go ahead, carve around, find that joint in there, just pop that. Right at that joint, I will cut to remove the leg.